Okay. So, today we will talk about knowledge management strategy and how KM strategy has to be linked with the business of the organization. You remember we talked about what is knowledge, okay, and then what are the different type of knowledge, like we talked about explicit knowledge and tacit knowledge, and then how to convert tacit knowledge into explicit knowledge. Today we will talk about the knowledge management strategy, that what are the strategies that is used to convert tacit to explicit or tacit to tacit or explicit to tacit. There are two major strategies that is adopted for this purpose, and one is basically related to tacit and the other one is related to explicit knowledge. Now, when we are talking about strategies, there are two kind of approaches that is used in knowledge management. One is known as personalization strategy and the other one is known as codification strategy. When we are talking about personalization strategy, basically the focus is on more on what you call tacit form of transferring knowledge or moving from one person to another person. Okay. So, how this kind of strategy works, where you are going to move from tacit to tacit using a more personalized approach, like two people interacting with each other or people working in a team sharing their knowledge with each other. So, this kind of basically strategy focuses on connecting knowledge workers through networks. This could be virtual networks, it could be physical networks, it could be teams, okay, and it basically what they are going to share their tacit knowledge and expertise with each other. Now, this kind of strategy is good because here what you get is more creative, innovative kind of things, or what you call services and products, which could be very rigorous, highly customized, because that is where you are going to share knowledge that is related with you. It could be related to the processes, it could be related to services, or it could be related to how to do things. So, what I wanted to tell you here is that personalization strategy, though it could be more subjective, but when you want to take out the tacit knowledge, then it is always good to use a personalization strategy. Moving next to is codification strategy. That is where technology is going to help you. You can use IT infrastructure, because IT helps you to storage, retrieval and reuse. So, technology plays a very major role in codification of knowledge. Now, what kind of knowledge can be codified? That kind of knowledge which is already available in some documented form. It could be in video, it could be in audio or recordings, it could be personal guidelines, it could be manuals of the organizations, it could relate to the processes through which one has to perform certain works. So, when we are going to use codification strategy, basically it is used for classifying, organizing and structuring those kind of knowledge which is available in explicit form, so that you can store it using technology and you get it back whenever you want to make use of it. Okay. So, the advantage of codification strategy is that it provides a very quality services, because it is easy to use, you can anytime retrieve it, okay, and it is also reliable because the consistency is very high and it is cost effective, but because once you have put the say content into an archive or you have stored it, anytime you want to make use of it, you can do it. The only thing is that it is not going to change. So, that is where this has a disadvantage, while personalization strategy could be used for those kind of things where you want to use more heuristic approaches, when you want to go for divergent thinking, that is where you do not have a solution to the problem. That is where we can use go for personalization strategy, but where you go for more convergent kind of thinking, where you have solutions to the problem and it is available somewhere. The only thing is that you should know where it is, so that you can make use of that knowledge to solve problems. Now, if you look at this, this talks about the differences between the codification and the personalization strategy. Now, if you look at these two pictures, what does it talk about? It talks about books on the one side, that is a documented form. Personalization, where you will find the face of an individual, it means that it is more personal in nature, right. So, codification strategy is basically document driven. It means that you have information available in some form of documentation. Okay. It is more formalized, it could be reports, okay, and it basically focuses on use of already existing knowledge that is available in some documented form. But when it comes to personalization approach to manage knowledge, that is basically used for tacit knowledge, okay, and this can be extracted out only when people are interacting and relating with each other. So, the important part is that people have to interact and relate with each. So, if you look at the headings, it says linking people, it means that people had to relate with each other in order to get out the kind of knowledge that they want. And how it is possible? Through meetings, communicating with each others, okay, personally, or it could be in any form they are going to communicate. It could be through media, social media, or whatever it is. So, you need to communicate whatever you know, so that other person come to know, because it is not available in documented form. Okay. And that is where you can find out what the other person knows, what is his expertise, what are the things that he knows, and that when he communicates it through any mediums, interacting and relating people, then only you come to know what the person knows, what is his expertise, and it is very, very flexible. Okay. For example, if I give two examples related to codification and personalization. One is ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, the other one is WikiLeaks. Now, if you look at WikiLeaks, people keep on sending the information, okay, but this information is very, very dynamic, it keep on changing, okay, and then it is very, very subjective, highly subjective, right. Whatever is there in ERP, that is very, very classified, structured information that can be used for taking any kind of decisions. Okay. So, that is how we try to differentiate between these two kind of strategies, that is codification and personalization strategies. Now, the next thing that we are going to talk about is that how to identify the knowledge maps, so that we can link knowledge to the strategy. So, it is very, very important at the first stage is to identify the gap in the knowledge that exists with the organization, okay, because you need to map, categorize, benchmark, and then apply it to develop a KM system. Okay. But at the same time, when you want to go for having a knowledge management system, it is very, very important for you to understand that what kind of knowledge you have, what is the current base of existing knowledge that is available with the people, groups, or even the organizations. So, the first thing that you have to see is that what your company must know. It means what kind of knowledge and skill base would be required for the organization in order to be effective, and then what your company knows, that is what is the current state of affairs so far as knowledge is concerned. It could be tacit or it could be explicit, both. So, you have to see that what are the expertise of the people, what kind of knowledge is available with the organization in terms of documents, manuals, guidelines, okay. And then in order to be effective, to compete with others, to perform well, what kind of knowledge base would be required by the organization. So, if you are able to assess both the current state of knowledge and the future state of knowledge that would be required by your organization in order to compete and perform well, you can find out the gap in the knowledge. So, the first stage is that when you are going for mapping the knowledge of your organization, you have to identify the gap in the knowledge base that is existing in the current state of affairs and related to the knowledge and the future state of knowledge. Now, once that is identified, then you also try to look at the strategy gap. Okay. So, on the one side you are looking for the knowledge gap, and the other side you are looking for strategy gap. Now, what is strategy gap? Strategy is what? Strategy is the action plan with which you want to achieve certain goals and objectives, which could be related to the vision and mission of the organization. Now, since strategy is derived from the vision and mission state of the organizations, these are the actions plans. This could be related to anything which helps you the company to achieve certain goals and objectives. Now, you have to see that what is your current strategy, okay? What your company is doing in order to perform well, in order to compete, in order to improve, okay, in order to have more productivity or efficiency, or in order to improve your market share. So, what your company is doing in order to achieve those goals and objectives for which it has been set. Now, the next is that what your company must do. In order to achieve those goals and objectives, what are the things that you should do? So, what you are doing and what you should do. So, you need to identify the gap in the strategy. Okay. Maybe you are going to follow certain strategy. Suppose you are going for expansion strategy, which could be related to your product. Okay. So, when you are saying that it is related to your product, what you have to do? You have to see that whether you are going to expand it. Now, whether you are going for an expansion or not, whether it is going to be successful or not, that you have to say. If it is not, then you have whether you should go for diversification. So, now you have to decide whether you are going for diversification. If you are doing that, whether you go for diversification in the related products or unrelated products, right. So, you must identify the gap in the strategy. So, once you are able to identify the gap between your knowledge and the strategy related to the organization, then you are going to link that. Okay. This is where you are going to link your knowledge and strategy, that is what you are doing to achieve with your current state of affairs, so far as your knowledge base is concerned. So, the kind of knowledge that an organization has, how it is going to help the organization to achieve the current stated strategy. Now, that is one thing. Second is that the expected knowledge that you want to have from your group, individual and organizations, and the kind of strategy that you are looking forward to in order to achieve your goals and objectives, then again you have to link both. So, at the first stage, once you identified gap, what you need to do is you need to link your strategy with the knowledge. Okay. So, first what you are going to do? You have to identify your gap, see with the current state of affairs, how it is helping you to achieve your goals and objectives, then what could be your strategy in the future and what could be your knowledge base in the future, and that is to be linked. Okay. So, in order to identify this, you need to develop a knowledge map. That is what we are going to discuss next. So, how are we going to create a knowledge map to evaluate your current state of knowledge, that what is your current state of knowledge related to the organization. Now, when I am talking about this, so you have to see that what is your knowledge, what is the knowledge base of your organization, and what is the knowledge base of your competitors, the other organizations who are going to compete with you, either into similar areas or different areas, whatever it is. Okay. It could be related to products or it could be related to services. Now, see, when you are talking about your company's knowledge, okay, so that is basically classified into three different categories. What is the core knowledge, core competence, okay, and then from that core competence, the extent to which you are able to move ahead in order to be more and more innovative, so far as your knowledge is concerned. Okay. It means that whether you are able, the extent to which your company is going to are able to be more innovative and creative, so far as knowledge is concerned. So, that is whether your company is in a position to create and innovate new knowledge, okay, because that is going to help you to compete with your competitors. Now, vis-a-vis others, the extent to which your competitors may be having certain core strength and the extent to which they will be able to move ahead and innovate themselves in terms of products and services. And that is where you have to see that how your knowledge and competitors' knowledge is going to be compared or evaluated. Okay. So, suppose you are at the first stage, it means that you are trying to compete based on your core strength, but your competitors are very innovative in their approaches. they have better form of knowledge and they are more innovative, then you become a risk player. It means that you are at risk, you will not be able to compete. But if they are at the advanced level and you are still at the same level, then you become a struggler, right. Then you need to compete with them, because you are not going to struggle with the products and services, because you do not have new knowledge, but they have moved to the advanced stage. But when you have also moved to the advanced stage of knowledge and your competitors have also moved to the advanced stage of knowledge, then you create a level playing field where both are going to work at the same level. Next, if we have moved to the advanced level, but they are still they have moved beyond the advanced level, but they are still struggling, they are still at the advanced level, but you have moved beyond that, then you are able to compete and become a market leader. But if your competitors are still at the core competence, using the core competence in order to compete, but you have moved to the more advanced level and have been very innovative. So far as knowledge is concerned, you are very creative, come out with new products and services using your knowledge base. It means that your company is very innovative in its approach, whether it is products, whether services or whether processes, then you become the innovator. It means that in that case you will have a competitive edge compared to the other organization. So, you have to see that the extent to which your knowledge base is going to compete with the knowledge base of your other organizations and other competitors. Okay. So, that is how we create this knowledge map. Now, next thing that we are going to discuss, that how once you have been able to identify the kind of strategy that you have, you are able to see what is your current knowledge base and what are your competitors knowledge, and the extent to which you are able to move to that level. Next thing that you are going to do is, you are going to see how it could be linked with the business strategy or the corporate strategy. So, now the question is that how knowledge management strategy is going to be linked with or going to be aligned with business strategy, because the basic objective of using a knowledge management approach or having a knowledge management system in the organization is to make them more creative and innovative, so that you are able to achieve your goals and objectives. Okay. So, whatever strategy is adopted, you are supposed to support that strategy through creation of knowledge at the individual level, group level and organizational level, which is going to support your activities to fulfill the goals and objectives of the organization. So, now if you look at this figure, which suggests that how we can go about aligning business strategy with the knowledge management strategy, you can see 4 quadrants here. Now, one is related to the environment. What you have to do at the first place? You have to assess the environment. When I am talking about environment, that is related to your external environment. Okay. Now, you have to scan the environment and identify the level of uncertainty that is associated with the environment in which you are going to operate. It could be related to technical environment, it could be related to regulatory environment, or it could be related to the competitions that you are going to face from other organizations. Okay. So, if you look at the environment, the first thing that you need to do is that you need to assess the environment and the level of uncertainty associated with the environment. When you are able to assess the level of uncertainty associated with the environment, you would be in a position to check out what could be your strategy for the organization, because your strategy depends upon the kind of environment you are going to operate it. So, if you look at this, it suggests that the environment has its influence on the strategic context. Okay. At the same time, environment also has impact on the kind of knowledge management strategy which you are going to derive. Okay. Now, if you look at these two things, that environment has its impact on the strategic context as also the game strategy. So, let us see and look at these things. When we are looking at the effect of environment on the strategic context, it means you have to see the kind of environment in which you are operating, okay, and that is going to decide the context of the strategy in terms of kind of products and services that you are going to offer, the markets in which you are going to offer, who will be your customers, and how you are going to allocate resources to different functional areas or different kind of things for in the organization to do, Let me give an example. Say in a highly competitive environment, if you are going to have a particular strategy, okay, the same strategy can also be adopted by the other organization. Okay. Suppose you are moving to pricing strategy and you want to reduce your pricing, but at the same time you also want to be cost effective. So, this kind of strategy can be also adopted by the other organization. Okay. Now, when we are talking about differentiation strategy, that is much talked about. Differentiation is what? That you want to offer products and services which are going to be different from your competitors, right. So, you want to offer your products and services which is going to be different. So, in this context you have to see that what others are offering and in what way are going to be different, and then accordingly you will develop your strategy about the kind of products and services which you like to offer in order to be competitive, right. So, this the kind of product and services that you are going to offer depends upon what? Your capability in terms of technology, in terms of the kind of knowledge base that you have, okay, and other things, and it is going to be influenced by the environment. So, environment sometimes forces you to go for certain kind of a strategy. For example, if one company is moving to a pricing strategy, okay, has reduced the prices, then you also go for this. Say for example, look at the airlines industry, okay, which is very cost effective. Okay. Just switch it off. बंद कर दीजिए. So, if you look at this pricing strategy, what happens? One example that I was giving is related to say airlines industry. So, one airline has reduced the prices, the other lines also follow the suit. It means that your customers are the context for deciding about the strategy. Okay. So, this is decided by the environment. It means that you are in a position to go for this kind of strategy based on your assessment of the environment. That is one. Now, when I am talking about the knowledge management strategy, depending upon the kind of technical opportunity that is available, what kind of competitive threats you are facing and other kind of things, you are going to see what kind of KM strategy you should go for. Okay. And that is where these factors have a major role to play, like IT, because IT enables you to develop the kind of architecture that you are looking for knowledge management systems. Then the extent of innovation that you want to have, because knowledge management strategy is basically related to what? That how we are going to acquire and create knowledge, okay? And the extent to which this KM strategy helps you to achieve competitive advantage. So, does knowledge management system in an organization is going to help you to achieve competitive advantage in terms of market share, in terms of productivity or efficiency, and then you also look at your current knowledge state of affairs. Okay. And what you need to do is that you have to see that what are the different kind of barriers which exists, which are going to either facilitate the process or you are going to see that whether they are not going to hinder these barriers. So, what you need to do is depending upon the kind of environment you are going to work, on the one side you decide about your strategy and relate to the organization or the corporate, on the other side you also decide about the strategy related to the knowledge management. Okay. Now, this environment is also going to affect the kind of technology that you want to use for implementing a knowledge management system, and there could be implementation barriers related to, which could be related to what you call environment or would be related to the strategic context. So, the kind of knowledge management technology that you want to use in order to have a knowledge management system, it depends upon how much you want to invest on the infrastructure, IT infrastructure. Okay. And then what could be your choice related to information technology, right? Whether you want to go for ERP, whether you want to go for SAP, it all depends upon you, that, and because investment in IT infrastructure is very expensive. So, you have to say that depending upon your requirement, you decide about the kind of IT infrastructure that you want to have in place. And finally, you want to have that the extent to which people are able to collaborate with each other, because it is not only technology, but you also need to see that the extent to which people are able to readily collaborate with each other. Now, this is the process of linking knowledge with business strategy. So, the first stage what we do? Okay. First stage we have to derive from the earlier picture, that is you have to articulate about your business strategy. What is your business strategy? Then it is clear. So, first stage is business strategy. So, you need to define your business strategy, whether you are going for cost leadership, whether you are going for differentiation, or whether you want to have focused strategy, whether you want to go for niche market, whether you want to compete based on your products and services, or whether you want to compete based on the cost. So, you can adopt a combination or permutation combination of any of these strategies as well. So, once you decide about your business strategy, you move to see that how you are going to link your business strategy with the knowledge. It means, in order to implement this kind of business strategy, what kind of knowledge would be required by the people, individuals, as well as groups, as well as the organization level. Now, once you are able to identify the link, okay, this is the kind of knowledge base and this is the kind of strategy which should be in place, then you create a knowledge map. What is the current knowledge map of your organization? So, this knowledge map will help you to evaluate your current state of affairs, so far as knowledge base is concerned, and what kind of knowledge base would be required in order to implement the intended strategy, right. Suppose you want to go for differentiation strategies. Differentiation strategies means that you have to offer more innovative products and services to the customers. Now, if that is your business strategy, then you have to see that whether people have the capability, have the kind of knowledge base with the help of which you will be able to come out with this or not. So, you need to identify the intended knowledge base as well, which would be required to implement this kind of a strategy. So, once that link is established, then you have to go for the third stage, that is assess your knowledge map, whether your knowledge map is similar to what you are looking forward to, or there is a gap. So, if there is a gap, that gap needs to be fulfilled. It means that to bridge the gap between your intended knowledge that you need to have in order to fulfill that strategy and what is your current state of knowledge, right. So, that is the third stage. So, you create an internal knowledge map to identify what you need to know, okay, and then you have to identify what kind of strategy that you want to adopt, whether you want to go for codification or personalization strategies. Okay. Because the knowledge management focus is to generate the kind of knowledge and document it, which could be used for achieving the goals and objectives of the organization, right. So, whether you need more tacit form of knowledge or whether you need more explicit form of knowledge, and how you are going to do it, that is the fourth stage. And fifth stage, then you create a knowledge map for each key competitor. Identify your competitors, look at their knowledge base, and look at your knowledge base and see where you stand vis-a-vis to your competitors. Once you are able to identify your status vis-a-vis others, that is competitors in terms of knowledge, then you will be able to see where do you stand compared to your competitors, okay. Whether at the core level or the advanced level, or you are very innovative, and whether your competitors are at the core level, advanced level, or they are very innovative. And then you are going to create a knowledge map for your organization. So, once you identify the knowledge gap, you are able to map the knowledge of others, you will be in a position to find out or map the knowledge which would be required for your organization. That is the next stage. Then the next stage is the look at the capabilities of the people. Okay. Assess your and your competitors' learning capability, the extent to which they will be able to be creative and innovative, and depends upon their learning capabilities. So, if you have better learning capabilities, you will be more innovative compared to your competitors. Okay. Then you have to see that once you have identified your gap, knowledge gap, and then you know what is your current and future strategy. Finally, what you need to do is that you need to go for exploiting that, okay, so that you have a knowledge management strategy and a knowledge management system which is enabled through IT systems, so that which is going to support you. So, you are going to create a knowledge map or an archive or store that knowledge either in tacit form or explicit form, which could be used by people in order to implement those strategy, so that you can achieve the intended objectives. And at each stage, what you need to do? You need to develop a system of feedback, so that you can show how well you are doing at each of these stages. Okay. So, that is how we are going to link knowledge with the business strategy. Now, I am giving you some examples of two different companies. One is Glaxo. Okay. Glaxo Welcome. The objective is to have a better return on intellectual capital. So, if they are going to invest more on people, their learning capabilities to improve, then what they did basically, they adopted a strategy. So, the focus was learning. Okay. Then they also went for certain workshops to see that how to develop action plans, okay, how to use IT systems to share R&D activities. Okay. And they also went for enabling IT systems using library and documentation management support, though it is not knowledge management, but it helps you to create a tacit or explicit knowledge. And then they reoriented the technical architecture to support this kind of things, so that you can not only store, but also retrieve and use that information. And then they try to develop a culture, sharing culture, so that you are able to do it. And that is how Glaxo was able to get better return on this. So, this is how they went about it. Now, if you look at the knowledge network architecture, what they did? They used all kind of things: strategy, competencies, team skills, okay, people related skills, communications, how to improve processes, quality, etc. So, they linked it this they created a knowledge network through which all these was linked, and that is how they were able to achieve the intended goals and objectives. Another example that I am giving of knowledge network is Ernst & Young. It is a consultancy company. Now, what they did, see how they acquire, store, deploy and add value, and what is the supporting system that they require? Is culture, technology and good relationship at the workplace. So, with this I wanted to complete this portion, and this basically talks about how we are going to align knowledge management strategy with business strategy, so that you are able to achieve intended goals and objectives. Thank you.